Hey guys, it's Will with Trifecta Game Studios. I am here at my home studio. This is my boy Clokey. We are just at work on a new old game, a game that's been around for a few years, but it's a really big game. I've been commissioning artwork for it for a couple of years now, just piece by piece. As you know, as the funds come in, I hire this artist to do 7 or 8 of the cards. It's a collectible card game, so there's a ton of images that have to be done for it. However, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it's nice because we'll be able to launch that, just a couple of products at a time, because there's about 36 total SKUs involved in this particular product. Anyway, I'm working on it right now because Black Flags, as many of you know, didn't fund on Kickstarter. So I want to touch base on that for just a minute and kind of tell you guys kind of why I think that happened, kind of what we did right, what we did wrong, and some of the lessons learned during that process, because that's what this is, just a it's just a huge learning experience. So basically, first of all, Kickstarter, you guys, I know this is going to be posted on Kickstarter, so forgive me for all of you guys who are really familiar with the platform, but I have a lot of people in my core audience who don't really know much about Kickstarter and probably don't really understand exactly why I use Kickstarter for my business. And so I'm going to just take like less than 30 seconds to kind of explain that. First of all, Kickstarter is a community of creative people and people who are interested in purchasing really creative products. If you just go to, say, Target and you buy a game or any product, you get to take that home and experience that product, but there's a certain level of context that you're going to be missing out on. Whereas with Kickstarter, these people, the supporters and the backers on Kickstarter, they actually get involved with products before they've ever launched. And that helps us as, creators to afford, in my space, the board game space, printing, manufacturing, large quantities of board games is a very expensive endeavor. And so, for a small-time publisher like myself, it makes sense to put it out on Kickstarter, and then people can, back it on Kickstarter, and then a few months later, once the project has fulfilled, we, then fulfill that game to them, and then they have a product, and also they've been able to be a part of the story of bringing that product to life. So that's why I use Kickstarter, because I don't have that initial capital to start, and also because it's just a really cool community of people who are interested in art and artistic endeavors. Anyway, so that's about it on that. I just kind of want to give you guys a heads up on exactly why I use Kickstarter and what that's all about. It is all or nothing funding, so the fact that Black Flags didn't fund means that I don't get that capital, because, it wouldn't make sense for them to, allow me to just take, say, the $7,000 or $8,000 that we generated and take that and try to create the product. I actually set the funding goal at the beginning of the campaign because I knew exactly how much it was going to cost to produce the minimum that I could order, which is 1,000, and then fulfill that out. Okay, so check it out, guys. Here's what I think happened with the Kickstarter campaign. First of all, I want to say, what all did we do right? We did a ton of things right. First of all, it's a great game. It's we've had just a ton of fun playing it with random strangers, with friends and family, and everybody has the same consensus that this is a really cool idea. And so, I think with regards to the game, there's no problem with the game at all. It is a beautiful product. It's not going to appeal to everybody out there, nor will any game appeal to everybody out there. But I think it is, it draws an interest in, the audience that I'm trying to reach with it. And so that works well, I think, and I'm happy about that. I think the illustrators did an amazing job. The writer, our writers, including myself, we put tons of time and effort into making sure that the rule book was sound, and that the dialogue cards had little stories within stories and things like that. So really cool stuff there. Now, with regards to the Kickstarter campaign, okay, so I went to 3 conventions during the course of the 30 days that the Kickstarter ran. I really banked on that being you know, as opposed to building my audience before launching the product, I felt like maybe there would be a chance that I could launch the product because these events were coming up and I was already scheduled to go to them and everything. I thought, well, what if I launched the product and, you know, reach out to these people, you know, face to face. I love that style of, you know, forging relationships with people face to face. That's just how I like to do business. However, you know, where I fell short was, you know, building an audience online prior to the launch. That is huge with Kickstarter, and I admittedly forewent that process in hopes that going to these conventions would, you know, really bolster a lot of attention and everything. Now, the conventions were amazing. A lot of people were, you know, happy to just, you know, pledge and back the game like right there in front of me at the conventions and stuff, at the consumer shows. Now, at GAMA trade show, that was all industry people, and I think that's where the big lesson was learned. I didn't get much support from that audience, and I think the reason is because, first of all, I don't think that they're used to, you know, at that convention being approached about a Kickstarter. That's kind of that's no man's land, I think, at this point. You know, I just don't know that many people have done that at GAMA, and so I think, you know, essentially, you know, I think there was a lot of people who were really interested in the game, but I think it just, you know, I don't think that, you know, I don't think their intentions of going to GAMA was necessarily to back a Kickstarter. Here's why. First of all, these retailers, they have brick and mortar shops, most of them, or, you know, some level of overhead, even if they're an online store. And so, you know, with Kickstarter, their money is tied up for a certain amount of time. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't going to fulfill this game until the end of August. And that's if everything went, you know, perfect, you know. And so, you know, these people, I think, were a little apprehensive to put their dime out there for a game that, you know, they're not even going to be able to get in their stores for sale for several months. And I totally respect that, and I didn't really, you know, necessarily think that through. Now, I know that there's a lot of folks who do that. I'm just not sure that the GAMA folks, the majority of them, were really kind of really in a mindset to really take that stretch. At the same time, though, I think the biggest mistake that I made, I believe, was this, which, you know, I can't blame myself because my manufacturer's minimum order quantity is 1,000 copies, okay? You know, that doesn't give me much of an economy of scale. That's literally the smallest amount that I can buy from them. And so that put the funding goal at 19,000, which is a big number, you know, especially considering I didn't do the pre-launch page and really build an audience before going to the conventions and everything. So when I order 1,000 copies of that game, that puts the MSRP, which is the price that they're going to sell it in stores, okay? That put that at $75. And I thought that was feasible because, you know, this is a pretty big box game, you know. And so I thought, you know, there is a chance that this could sell for $75, but, you know, I don't own a retail store, so, you know, I'm not 100% sure, but that's a big box. I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces in this. However, what I've, you know, in my research, because, you know, this last week I've just been crunching numbers and trying to figure out kind of where things, you know, were amiss. And a lot of the games that run for like $75 have a ton of like plastic miniatures, you know, that have been custom molded and just a ton of really cool, intricate pieces. Now, our game has a lot of really cool pieces, but it's more of a classic Euro, so it's wood bits, you know, it's linen, would have been linen finished, you know, box and board and everything. It's really more of like a classic European styled game as opposed to, you know, like a miniatures game, which, you know, can draw a $75 price point. So basically what I have to think about is how can I compete? So what I have to do now, you guys, is I have to think in terms of ordering like 5,000 copies of this game, which, as you can imagine, sets the price point for the Kickstarter, the funding goal for the Kickstarter, well above 19,000. I mean, you're talking significantly more. I haven't done exactly the numbers on those quantities, but I do know that at about 5,000 or even 2,500, you know, the price that they're charging me for each unit is half in many cases is so much less. And so, you know, I have to go with that economy of scale so that I make sure that I'm giving a good price for my game. You know, just because I'm only making 1,000 copies doesn't mean, you know, that somebody's going to justifiably spend $75 on a game that should be 50, you know, or something like that. So I think, you know, I really have to go back and I have to crunch the numbers, and I really have to think even bigger than I did on this campaign, which is a bit scary because we didn't even fund 19,000. But I know for many reasons why we didn't, and what I can do next time to bolster, you know, more of an audience and get a little bit, you know, or significantly more momentum. The way that I'm going to do that, guys, is I'm going to spend the next year. I have one more year with my business where I can show a loss. This may be TMI, but I'm just going to tell you anyway. You know, and so I am going to invest a ton of money over the next year in, you know, Facebook ads to try to reach out globally to an audience that, you know, is a part of the Kickstarter community, that knows what Kickstarter is all about, and would be happy to back this game at a great price. And so I'm going to, you know, really hone in on those ads and hit that audience and try to reach out to them to build support, so that a year from now, or, you know, 15 months from now, I can launch Black Flags again. It's going to have a much larger funding goal, but a significantly smaller price point. So I think those things, you know, and we're going to learn as we go. I mean, there's no guarantee that it'll fund next time, but I'm going to keep trying because I spent a year making this game and I want to get it out there. And so I'm going to continue through, you know, an evolutionary process of, you know, what have I tried that works well? What have I tried that didn't work well? And recalibrate and continue to really polish that stone until I know exactly what I'm doing, you know, with this process. I design a ton of games. Like, guys, I spend so much time designing games. But, you know, publishing, it's an art to find the perfect price point to make it really pop off the shelves and grab people. You know, I mean, the whole thing with all of that, and I have experience with that, but there's just still a lot that I have to learn, and the only way to do that is to go out, put products out there, to glean those little bits of those little sparks of inspiration and things that work well, right? And try to eliminate as many of the things, you know, that didn't go well from the process. And, you know, this time, you know, a couple of years from now, I feel like I will really have my head wrapped around not only the game design elements and not only the graphic design and the visual aesthetics of everything, because that I have a ton of experience with, but, you know, with really jumping in the water and swimming with sharks, you know, big companies that I'm competing against, you know, that have been doing this for decades. And so I just have to keep doing that, guys, and I'm going to, because I love the process, and I've just never really been comfortable sending my games to other publishers. It's just not something that I'm interested in. I have a couple of games out right now with a big publisher that I think would be really cool if they did wind up publishing one of my games. But I only did that because I was willing to release those games. I'm not completely bound to those games, you know, emotionally. Black Flags this is part of me, you know what I mean? And I'm going to publish it on my own or not at all. You know what I mean? That's just kind of that's just where I'm at on it, you know. And so anyway, guys, that's about it, really. This video is a little longer than I anticipated that it would be, but I just kind of wanted to communicate to you guys, you know, where I'm at, what I'm up to. Where we're going to be going, you know, moving forward. And I just want to say, you know, as I am going to always say at the end of my videos, is if you have a dream like me, and even if you don't, find one, because bringing dreams to reality is an absolutely blissful process. I absolutely love it. It's a bit painful at times when things don't go your way, but you just have to kind of roll with it, and you have to just keep chipping away and going at it. So if you have a dream like me, you know, I want you to get out there. Cokey. We want you, right, Cokey? We want you to get out there, and we want you to, you know, just do your best to try to make your dreams come true. Because we just, you know, as far as I know, we just have this one life to live, and I'm going to give it all I've got, you know. And so, I also have to do my due diligence, guys. I hope that over the course of the next couple years, the company will grow. My online or my screen presence will get better. I can make more eye contact with the camera as I know I'm supposed to be, but it's a challenge, So here we are, just kind of working through another one of those challenges to make the dream work. You know what I mean? And so. I love you guys. I certainly appreciate all the support for Black Flags. Generating $8,000 was big. It was huge. A significant portion of that was from friends and family. So much love to you guys for being there for me. But an even bigger portion of that money came from brand new people who were just interested in the product, and that's the goal. Just to try to reach out to those people and get my games on their tables, because that's what I'm up to. That's what I enjoy. And so if you don't mind, please subscribe to my channel here on YouTube and watch it blossom over the next year or so. And then also, I'm over on Facebook and also on Instagram. That's mostly the same content that you'll find on Instagram versus Facebook. But the real meat and potatoes, the part that I hope people enjoy is learning kind of what I'm up to and how I'm, trying to bring these dreams to reality and kind of the nuts and bolts of what that is all about. And so if you want to follow that process and you can stand to hang out with me for 15-20 minutes about, I don't know, maybe once or twice a week, then please subscribe to my channel and just follow along. And I appreciate y'all so much. Peace.